Good morning, guys. Just thought I'd make a short little video, show you what I've been up to. I've pulled down some old yards and rubbish I had here. It was a bit of a dog's breakfast, and what I'm doing is setting up a bit of a horse yard. I'm getting some bit of horsepower coming soon, so I'm getting a quarter horse colt here, so I thought I need a bit better facilities. But what I've done is I've had a few of these panels, spare panels, so I've bought 3 or 4 extra ones and made a bit of a yard, and I'll whip this thing around and show you what I'm up to. Yeah, I've had this gate in a frame for quite a while. I was going to incorporate it in my cattle yards, but anyway, I'm using it for this now. So this steel, it's a lot easier to put together than making wood yards. You know, they're a little bit expensive, but they don't break and they don't rot. So I'll just show you what I've made here. It's these are, I think they call them temporary panels. You can move them around, they just pin together. What I'll do though is put a little block of concrete underneath them and bolt them down so they won't slip backwards and forwards. But they're a handy and quick way of building a bit of a yard. Put a post in here and connected them to this because I've got a fence going to run down the hill, as you can see there. Sun's coming up, it's going to be a hot day. I've put a gate there, and I'm going to run a fence down past the house, down alongside the orchard. But I went to buy another one of those gates in the frame to put here, but they're not available. Another month or so. A lot of shortages of things like that. The guy said to me, oh, they're coming from China, so goodness knows when they'll get them. So I just put a normal stockyard gate. I had a couple of these gates I bought a long time ago, so a little bit extra mucking around, but I swung a gate here, and what I'm doing here is I put swung a gate there, and I'm putting a fence down here. I've gone with 7-foot posts, just making this yard a bit higher, or this paddock going to be a bit higher. Just to, well, once upon a time, if you had a colt or stallion, the council used to come around and check. You had to have a certain height fence, but they don't have those rules anymore. But I'm building a good high fence anyway, so this is my old calf feeding shed, so I'm just going to turn it into, well, it's a bit of a junk shed at the minute, but what I'm going to do in this side is clean this out and make a bit of a loose box here for a horse to go in and out. And it's got this nice tree in the middle, so it's going to be a nice, cool, shady yard. Anyway, I better get cracking before it gets too hot. What I'm going to do today is set up a couple of stay sets in that fence and get it ready to run the wires.
The old fella's always said, do your fencing in the winter. I know why. Doing me good though. The ground's fairly soft because we've had lots of rain, but anyway, it's different nowadays. Most people have got all the modern cons like post drivers and borers and all that type of thing, but I still sort of do everything manual. It's expensive, that stuff, to have on a little place, so I try and do everything by hand mainly. I've got a few, got a power drill and bits and pieces like that, instead of the old augers, the old hand augers. But anyway, I'll give you a look at this. Yeah, so I've got this gate connected to the yards here. Just put this stay up. I've got to run the wires, stay wires yet, and another one down the other end, and then I'll be ready to run some wires. But it's getting very hot now. But you can see this is fairly high. It's a good high fence it's going to be. I cheated a bit today. On level ground it's okay. Your stays usually butt up neat with the post, but because this is where everybody's going to see it, and everybody will say, check out my fence. Try not to cut off any pine unless I have to, but when you're on crooked ground you have to trim a bit off your stays. So I got the plane out and planed a little bit off them, and just to get them so they butt up neat. I hate seeing them butted up and there's gaps in there, so I cheated a bit there. And this end, you can see how it's butted up neat to the post. There's no light through there, so just makes a good job of it. But what I usually do is, if I do cut any pine, I'll coat it with something, sump oil or a bit of something, paint. But I was a bit hot and bothered, and I chucked this one up there and drove the spikes in, and forgot to do it, but I'll splash a bit of sump all around here anyway. So yeah, that's one stay nearly done.
Whenever you mow it, you should just be able to go straight in and mow.
Okay, thank you.
Just getting some orders for the day. Yeah, so I finished this fence down to the corner there. These brackets that I made up a jig to make these little brackets. The ones that you buy are just a loop of wire and a nail, and they're pretty flimsy, so. And I shifted this. There was an old water trough in here, and I buried it down so sheep could reach it. And that's it over there. So that's a good high one for a horse. And this one I'm going to take out and use it somewhere else. So yeah. Took some getting out too. This is just a homemade trough. Got it reasonably level, I think. Here's something I just thought I'd show you, a little tip. If you're using treated pine posts, and especially if they're a bit wet, they're not really dry, if you put all your staples, if you're using staples and you staple in a straight line down the post, a lot of times the post will split. These posts are pretty green, and so what I've done is tried to stagger my staples and also put my staples in on a bit of an angle, but I'll show you what I mean. You see here I've put the staples in on an angle, and I haven't put them in a line, so that if you put them all in a line and straight up and down, they're likely to split the post. If the post is going to crack, it'll crack in that spot. And if they're in a line all the way up, the post will generally split all the way up. So you can see here how I've put the staples on an angle as well, so that both the points of the staple are not above one another, or above and below, so that it's in a different bit of wood. And you see that post splitting there, so I'll put the staple over this side of that split. And here you can see how I've staggered the staples. They're not in a straight line down to the ground. Yeah, so it's just a little thing to remember when you're stapling into pine. I try to do the same with these insulators. I'll try and stagger the screws. Yeah, this is the horse that I've just purchased not long ago. He's only rising 2-year-old, so he's got a lot of maturing to do, and hopefully turns out a good one. So anyway guys, we'll catch you soon. Cheers for now.